Now that you have some familiarity working with records, let's do a quick review of one of the most important feature of Istoriam, filters. As the number of records in your timeline increases, it might become inefficient, or not practical, to display all of them when you are only interested in working or reviewing a limited part of the timeline. Filters are a mechanism to limit or reduce the number of records displayed in the display window. To see how filters work, let's consider a timeline with two sets of records, a group of records that reflects events that took place in the 19th century and another group for events that took place in the 20th century. An example of such a timeline is shown here with two 19th century records in red and two 20th century records in blue. Now let's assume that, for some random reason, you need to view only the records that are in the 20th century. To do that, we will create a filter that will only display those records. Start by clicking on the filter icon from the display window toolbar. The filter management window opens. For this tutorial, it is sufficient to know that the left section of the window lists all the filters that you have created for your timeline, which is empty now as you have not created any filter yet, while the right section lists all the filters that are in use or active. Let's create our first filter. Start by clicking on the plus icon to create a new filter. The Filter Components window opens. Let's give our filter a name, for example, 20th Century Events. Let's also add a short description for the filter such as, My First Filter. For this example, we will leave the other fields with their default values. In the Filter Composition section, set the predicate field to start date. Change the operation field to the greater or equal value. And finally set the value field to January 1, 1901, the first date of the 20th century. Click on the Add button to add that predicate to the list of predicates. Click on the Save button to save the new filter, then close the Filter Components window. In the left section of the Filter Management window, you could now see a new filter group, Generic. Expand that group by clicking on the plus sign next to its name and then on the plus sign next to the None subgroup. Don't worry, we will review the group and subgroup in more details in the tutorial videos on filters. We can now see the filter we have created. To select or activate the filter, click on the arrow tip icon next to the filter name. The filter is now displayed in Active Filters section of the Filter Management window. If we check the display window now, only the records with the start date at or after January 1, 1901, i.e., the blue records, are visible. You can remove or clear the filter by clicking on the reverse arrow tip to remove the filter from the Active Filters section. A new check of the display window will show now all the records, red and blue, again. There is a lot more features and capabilities offered by the filter feature. Be sure to review the other tutorial videos on filters to learn more on how to work with this feature.